If you have no idea of how to solve a problem, you have two options. You either stare at your own belly button, hoping the problem will go away, and even though the situation around you is getting worse, or you could lift your head above the parapet and observe what is happening further afield for the right answer. Unfortunately, the British government doesn't have a very good track record of doing the latter, preferring the navel gazing route whilst offering empty words for the population. This was clear during the COVID lockdowns. Sweden, back in the day, refused to submit themselves to such drastic measures and let natural antibodies do their job instead. What happened in Sweden? Well, a very low death rate and a healthy economy, thriving businesses and social behaviour. A stark contrast to the UK. Mental disorders, many deaths with COVID but not of COVID, public debt, business failures, recessioned economy, which for all intents and purposes still exists today. We're still reeling from it.
Yes.
Sweden has once again stepped up to the plate when it comes to illegal immigration and asylum seekers flooding the country. What was once a very peaceful nation is now rife with open gang warfare, grenade attacks, and public no-go areas in Stockholm. And the Parliament finally decided to act, and the results are stunning. Swedish Minister John Forsell explained how the UK could resolve its migrant crisis. Toughen up. Now, people have been saying it for a long time. Numbers of people who are wanting to live in Sweden have reached a 40-year low, with only 4,200 applications expected in 2026, compared to 95,536 in Britain in a comparable time frame up until last March. Since 2022, deportations have increased 60%, while asylum claims have dropped 75% in Sweden. Mr. Farrell said there is nothing extreme in what we are doing. We inherited a situation which had caused enormous integration problems in Sweden. There were gangs and shootings every day. That is what sparked us on, and we have seen some important results, but there are still many challenges to overcome. Most people who come here are honest and want to work, but it is a fact that some don't want to do that. For many years, Sweden had a very different migration policy compared to other countries. And what happened was that led to situations with very severe problems. For example, kids growing up where their parents didn't speak Swedish, their parents didn't go to work, and it created a sense that politicians were not in control of migration. And that is what we are trying to change here and now over the last few years so far. So good, he said.
Okay.
So that situation Sweden was in, does it sound familiar?
Right. Yes. Okay.
So what did Sweden do? What did they do to this huge turnaround? They cut migrant benefits, deported increasing numbers of foreign criminals, and moving asylum seekers into centres away from private housing. Forsell went on, we have tightened the conditions. Before asylum seekers were given permanent visas. Now they are only given temporary visas. And the reception centres are now set up. Now we know who they are and where they are from. The asylum seeker lives in the reception centre, has to learn Swedish and Swedish history and about the society, and needs to be willing to integrate and to work. Asylum refusal has a shortened appeals process, but if that fails, they have to leave. He added that the Swedish government has entered into contract with the British Home Office to share information, as he believes that the Swedish mode is the way to go. So there we have it, solutions being handed to the British government on a silver platter. will Vernon give the ideas any light of day in the UK? So far, his answer is to spread the asylum seekers about, trying to hide the broader problem in plain sight by reducing deep concentrations of these asylum seekers in one particular place.
Yes.
So we're just going to have to see what happens next with the British government.
Okay. Well, I don't need to think too hardly about that. um, okay. I thought that I thought that our Prime Minister, or the British Prime Minister, still going to call him our Prime Minister because we're still British. The last time I looked, yeah,
Yeah,
um, is doing a nationwide tour and listening to people's woes and problems and trying to find silver bullets for everything. That's what I understood. But as if I can't understand why he's doing a nationwide tour. That really he should be in his office finding the solutions and send out some minions maybe to report back, like any good project manager should do.
that is
Um,
what MPs are made for.
well, yeah, that's why you have them sitting all around the country, whatever side they're on. And, they should have access to report. Um, yes, you could even go to they're all together in Portcullis House. You could do a walk across there. Any problems in your area? Yeah, because that's how I see the Prime Minister. He is the main project manager. Yeah. And what do? When you're a project manager, you go to someone's desk, you say, have you got any problems? Anything I can help you with? Yeah. Am I talking too sensibly? I don't know, You look at me. Yes. Now, I can't understand why we need to be talking to Sweden to do the blinking obvious. Really, to be quite honest.
Well, like I said at the very, very beginning of this,
Yeah,
when when you have no idea of how to resolve a problem,
yeah,
and it seems that the UK has no idea how to resolve a problem, or perhaps it does, but it doesn't have the political uh, desire to do so.
yeah. Well, okay. I imagine that Mr. Smith of 72 Glenister Lane, somewhere in a city in the UK, probably has the same thought of that answer 6 months to a year ago. Yeah. Um, yeah,
Well, even in the House of Commons, they've been,
yeah.
dare I say it? I mean, I don't want to make a part of political broadcast
No,
on behalf of the Reform Party,
no, well, yeah.
but they've been saying something very similar. I just look at the latest manifesto
Mm,
that foreign nationals will have access to Social Security, for example.
yeah. But the problem is that when you say that, then they get um, the people that want to do some good for their fellow men stand up. Oh, that's not fair. These people are running away from problems. Well, who created the problems? In all honesty, yeah. And look, we did one on the other day. I mean, I don't care what politicians in the House of Commons say, or not politicians, seniors. I mean, you and me are in contact with people who live on the street. Mr. Smith, I've just used an example, made an example of. Yeah, I don't know Mr. Smith, and I don't know who Gliston Lane is, but you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, we're hearing of these people. We're in contact with these people. Okay, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, but when you just look at a chat group on Facebook, on Instagram, yada yada yada, it gives you an indication. Um, Instead of which they end up with the police coming around, knocking on their door, and getting accused of causing unrest. Yeah, by saying um, yeah, I mean it's quite true that I mean I do think yes these people that do arrive are entitled to be treated respectfully. By respectfully, I mean not beaten up or anything nasty like that. That's respectfully. But yes, put into purpose built um, processing areas. I know some people might call them the sea camps, but let, let, let's let's just put that aside a moment, where they can be safely processed, um, checked on, and if you like, yeah, have a medical team on site to check them all, check they haven't got anything particularly wrong with them, um, and yeah, where they can be processed properly, find out who they are, if they've got any affiliations to any undesirable organisations, yeah, and then have a regular shuttle service to a local airfield where you can fly them out on a C-130. Yeah. Um, Simple solution. I mean, the big problem we have now is that if they want to go missing, they can. They put in a accommodation.
Yes, that's right, which is what Sweden was saying. They're kept in these reception centres, and
Yeah.
they stay there, from what I can gather, quite a long time. If they're having Swedish lessons,
Mm.
you don't learn Swedish in a day.
No, it's probably more difficult than learning English. Yeah.
So those that are granted asylum will have to go through this process of having Swedish lessons,
Mm.
history lessons, societal lessons,
Yeah.
and have a job to go to.
Yeah.
Those that refused asylum, they just, like you said, they shuttled off the nearest airport and returned.
Yeah.
Those that refuse to say where they're from,
Mm.
they just should be returned to sender where they came from.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
and I think that's what Sweden. I think that's what Sweden. Or they could live forever in an undesirable reception centre until they spill the beans and say where they're from.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, yeah, that to me is treating
But they have
people.
to be. They have to. Sorry, but they have to be secure units.
Yes, exactly.
You can't have them go into town
Yeah,
every
that's
with
exactly it.
a
Yeah.
five in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, there does seem a disjoint when you watch debates in the House of Commons that I end up turning off because they're frustrating. And one politician looking after his constituents says, you know, the women are afraid to walk around at night, and then the member of the government at the front bench says that's complete nonsense. Where does she know it's complete nonsense if he's being told that by a constituent? Yeah, and he could probably bring the receipts. Um, I mean, it's not racist to protect yourself. And when I mean, and yeah, I mean, you can welcome. Is immigration good for people, good for a country? Of course it is. Absolutely. Um, there's different issues with immigration. If you take doctors, nurses, and engineers from another country, you start putting that other country down into a recession type status because they don't have anyone to do anything. But that's a wider issue. But yeah, these people that I see, well, they film themselves coming ashore with their iPhones or their elaborate Samsungs and everything else, which again raises another question. And then about town and everything. And when you see videos, again, this is only on the internet, and I'll see things on Instagram, etc., just flicking through, looking for the content I want, of them peering into people's private properties through windows and things. Yeah. In what society is that acceptable? Yeah. And as you say, the Swedes are saying we're training them to be acceptable members of society. Um, you know, integration. And it's possible that many of them are quite happy to go along with that.
They all should be. Those that aren't, they get returned to their own country.
Well, this is it. Yeah.
And I can understand if somebody says, well, you know, the Swedish are just given their point of view, you know, that's how it should be done. But the thing is, the Swedish government have put their statistics on the line
Mm.
and shown excuse me, shown what the results are.
Yeah.
So you can't say that it's just hot air because they're just like they did in the COVID,
Yeah.
just like the COVID years when they went against the grain,
Mm.
and their economies has been stable
Well, look,
since pre-COVID levels.
yeah, I mean, you and I had had a discussion during the COVID online. I think we had a group chat going at the time, and yeah, you brought this up. What? Because we're talking about masks and everything else, and yeah, and having to have the
The jab.
the jab, and also shutdown. And you said, well, this shutdown's totally ridiculous. I think it was you who said this shutdown's totally ridiculous. Um, and a lot of us were trying to carry on with our lives. I mean, I could never understand why I couldn't walk along the beach 20, 30 meters away from anyone else by the beach, by the Atlantic Ocean, no less. Yeah. Um, but um, the thing is, yes, I walked past policemen. I didn't have a mask on one day. I had it around my wrist. Yeah. And I know that say it's unhygienic to do that. Well, I'm breathing in all sorts of stuff every day of my life anyway, and I rely on my natural immune system to fight a majority of it. Um, and I always said that. I said this. I think that yeah, I had a discussion with some other colleagues who are all going along with the rules, and I said this segregation that we're all suffering isn't doing us any good in the long run. The kids aren't building up any immunity. Us adults still build up immunity. Yeah. Um, I always keep myself reasonably healthy and fit, as you know. Yeah. Um, and yeah, I thought it was all ridiculous. I did think I begin to go with the thing it was an experiment in control more than it's an experiment in anything else. But okay, getting back to the main thrust of this podcast. Yes. Um, everyone I would say probably 60% to 70% of the population have just said what Sweden has implemented should be done. Yeah. And I mean, it's common sense. Where I'm coming from, it's common sense. You control immigration. Um, it's a thing you do for so many different reasons to keep undesirables out, to yeah, establish your normalities in life. In the UK now, we're being told to give up what is our traditions. Now, I'm not saying every British tradition is wonderful and great, but there are traditions. Um, and and when you get told that flying your flag near these asylum places and everything else could be offensive to them, why? If they're wanting to move to this country, get used to it. Yeah. Have I said anything outlandish there? Yeah. Um, and yeah, our
The,
diet.
the, the only thing that the British government has done more recently yesterday was that they made a leaflet and asked the
I
visitors
don't
to
thought,
not be naughty boys and girls.
yes, not to do essays. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I believe it's all written in English. Um,
Of course. Well, they couldn't put it in any foreign language because somebody would say, well, why is he using that language?
yeah, no, that's the point I'm
You
making.
direct this to, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when people say, oh, we've got enough problems with, yeah, we already have problems in the country with these people. So, yeah, well, that's it. We've already got enough of our own issues
yeah.
in the UK without importing more.